Hello and welcome back. Steel Pinnings here once again. And today I have something a little bit different, yet still along the same lines. It's about locks. Anyhow, this episode I wanted to focus on some of the locks in my collection. Some that are a couple or few that are traveling through. But they all have to do with being known as, and some not known as, but all evil keyways of sorts. So, let's dive right in. What I have over here is a small grab of some of the locks that I have in my collection that range from open keyways that are extremely difficult, like the Freyden lock, which has a fully circular keyway, and you have to tension off of the pins themselves, which makes it extremely difficult to actually pick. And other than that, I mean, it's just simple pins, but tensioning a round keyway is impossible. You have to tension off a pin, which means you're going to mess with your that pin chamber's action. So it's not a hard keyway or an evil keyway, but it is by far hard. Anyhow, moving on from that, we have like this style dimple lock, which doesn't have the nastiest, oh my gosh, warding to it. It has a little bit, but you can see down there that there are 7 pins, and if we can get it to focus right, let's see if we can get a light on it. And we can see on the bottom of those are 5 sliders. So we're talking total and complete crowding of an semi-open keyway, really. I have this new little tool for my light here. It's a little wand. It's a fraction wand, so you can put the light down inside. Actually see down in there. If I can actually look through the thing and see which particular one you want to light up. It doesn't light up that bright on camera, but it lights up great in person. But moving on from that, being the overcrowded style keyway, to the mid-range in my, well, what I call mid-range of hard locks keyways, like the ASA V10. It's not all that impossible to get to. It isn't really. Let's see if I can use this one here as a pointer. Yeah, there we go. It has an open keyway here, but it is at an angle. It isn't straight. And it has all of these little wards that come out on it that you can see on the key itself, which grab on to any kind of pick. So trying to get a pick, see if I can get it down in there just right for you to see, in that slot is very difficult. And then you also have to get down here sideways and work those side pins. Very difficult pick, not only because it's ASA and the tolerances are, oh my god, and that it's a twin. The V10 makes it even more than just a twin with a it's not a restricted keyway, but a difficult keyway. So we'll call those the mid-range keyways, right? Not impossible, but difficult. Like this beautiful BKS that I got from T&J. It has the heavy Yale, is what I call it. It's a Yale style if we can do a better light on that. There we go. But you can't work off that bottom warding. So you can't work off of it right. Yeah, I mean, you have to work off of it right here, but you can see the pins are already down there. So you have to work off of it like that. So you can't really use bottom of the keyway tension like a regular Yale, but you can get to them, but you have to use a thinner pick. It's 15 thousandths minimum. But it is a very doable pick. Again, with the mild to medium. Another with the overcrowding is this CISA. It also has a heavy warding, more than a typical. As you can see, it has heavy wards that really block that pin chamber or pin line. But, you know, with the right flag, you just curve right underneath them and you can get in there. But it takes the right one. Once again, a nastier keyway, but more for overcrowding with that kind of warding. So it's one of the mid-ranges. Another of the mid-ranges is like this Lockwood. This one has a standard Lockwood key. I don't know which keyway it is particularly. But it also has that same style where you have to work off of it here. But you have to, in those high cuts, you have to get up past that one. And getting up past that one can be difficult. Which, if you have high cuts, it makes it really tough to pick. So, along with the bidding, it makes it for a very difficult pick. This, I thought was a Schlage. But I was corrected by Mr. Moss that it is a Welch. And it has a nasty restricted keyway. Let's see if we can do a partial zoom. There we go. Has a really nasty restricted keyway. I haven't had the heart to cut the key yet, so I've just got it 0 bitted. Moving on from there, I have this other Lockwood. It's the V7. And I've picked it not too long ago. It has a nasty bottom restriction, but an easy work path. So it's one of the mediums that I considered. So along with the medium again. Another with the medium is the different types of cabas. And this is one that has a quite nasty looking, but I mean, frankly, you can get right up through here. But getting a high cut past that, and of course that check pin, is quite difficult whenever you have a nastier keyway like that. Along with that, I have this one that I got from Mr. Bill Bacardi. It has the awesome little M keyway. But once again, you can get to it, I mean, fairly simple. I'll show you the track. Working off of that ledge, if you put something in here, of course, you don't slip off of those slip ledges. And you can slide something like a 15 thousandths right up. Those high cuts are a little bit harder, but nothing to ward out and stop you from it. A very medium and keyway wise. Moving on from there is this challenge lock. This is a kind of a famous one. This is the challenge lock that beat Bosnian Bill. And it doesn't have an impossible keyway. It's quite like the other, but it has that little extra warding in the top for those high cuts. And then the high cuts really put a damper on picking. It's not an impossible pick, but not an easy one by any means. Moving on from there is this Bergwachner padlock, the Gamma 700. You have seen them before. It has a very nasty little keyway. You have to work off of that central ledge right there. And because there's no way to get past it up here if you're working off of that. So it's best to put a tensioner down here and work off of it. Though you can tension off the top, it's not that big a deal. It does have an inset circle cut out to help with making you have a deeper tensioner to avoid picking easily. Getting into some of the harder ones now. Y'all recently saw this metal. Get it to focus. There we go. Quite the nasty keyway. It reminds me of the Abus Vitesse keyway. This one here, everybody sees it usually on this end. Like so. You can see that there's a lot of different wardings, but you can get to it with a nice thin pick. You have to work off of this bottom ledge here. And then go straight up. But you have to get past that one. Very difficult, especially if the pins in it are nastier. Moving from that one, you go into my best series, and first one I grab here is the J keyway, and it's one of the medium ones again. It's not all that impossible. You have to work off of this ledge here and go at an angle, but it's not impossible. It just makes you, it's kind of like a Schlag. It makes you work off of it. Moving from that, the same type of series is the H keyway. And, yeah, this is it. It has a nice hanger in there. What I call the hanger. You have to literally cut it off here and work at an angle off of it there. So you have to use like a bottom tensioner to pretty much cut off the bottom of the keyway here so that it doesn't slip off. And that way you can work off of it like that. About the only way I've found to do it. Quite a nice little keyway. Moving from there, you move into the W series. The W series uses these much larger keys. Let me show you in comparison here. This is the H keyway. The H key. And it's this size. This is the WA key, and it's this size. So it's much bigger and definitely much thicker. Come on, focus. And definitely much thicker as well. So, why is that? Well, it's a more heavily secured lock, and it has a heck of a hanger. You have to work off this ledge here, but you have to block it off and use a very low HD style pick. Very difficult to pick, but it can be done. But I haven't been able to get this one to control. I only have an operating key. Moving up from there is the WB, and that was the WA. And this one is the let me get it to come out there. The WB. Bam. And it has a nice hanger as well. It's a slightly different look than the WA. Get them up here together. There we go, the A and the B. And you can tell that the A has a rounded edge and the B has a hooked edge. But also very difficult because of that hooked edge. Where the round edge you tend to slide off of. From the from the B, we move on to the C. And the C has a drop hook edge to it, which I find to make it a little bit even more difficult, but to each their own. Best locks in general are very temperamental. They like to be perfect. Moving from that one, the WC, to the WG. And the WG has another hooked drop edge instead of the WC's round dropped edge. Get it on there, sorry. WC's round drop on top and the hook drop from the G on bottom. Some say they look a little like the letter they're representing. I guess you could see that if you wanted to. This is a G again. That could be a G. Some kind of cursive, right? So, up from those, I have 5 different locks left. So we can clear that out of the way. And they get pretty darn tough. First is this ASA, and this is the D12. And the D of the keyway is quite idiosyncratical. They are very difficult. I found the best way to pick it is to block up this edge right here with a tensioner and use a dimple pick to slide right up underneath there and just lift them up a little bit. But if you have high cuts, very difficult to get a dimple pick to lift a high cut. It can be done. Mr. Chris Aarons is one who did an awesome job doing it at that. Kudos to you. Check that out. You want to see an awesome picker? He picks some awesome locks. Moving from that, we have the Keymark. And Keymark is made by Medico, and they have the mark of a key by all means. That keyway is some of the nastiest. And of course, you have the pins typically sit right on that edge. This one is not keyed up, not pinned up. I do not have a key to this one. It's a brand new lock that, of course, I don't have a key to. Crap. So I'll probably just wind up cutting it into a nasty challenge lock that someone will have to drill this ledge off of it just to pick it. But here is one with a key. And of course all the keyways are slightly different. This one has a bad hook in it right there as well. I'll point it out a little better here. Right off of here. It makes it where, I mean, you have to do it with a dimple pick again and try and get them to lift up like that. Pretty cool little locks, though. The keys themselves look like a Medico, except for, you know, they're quite curved. This one here is one of my prides. It's a Keymark, I guess it's a full-size independent core. The bitting on it's kind of chinchy, but, I mean, come on, right? If we can get a better light. There we go. Quite the nasty keyway. And I have both control and operating keys for it. Beautiful. And this is set to fit into a Sergeant. This is a Sergeant housing. Beautiful action too. Awesome little lock. And then the last two I have are, quite frankly, challenge locks. I've picked one. I can't get it picked on camera. And that's this Dom sent to me by Bobby Keys. And it's got quite a nasty little keyway, but you just have to block it off here and work off of that ledge. And you can get to the pins. And of course, you know, you don't turn it 180, but it was pinned by Mr. Keys, so it's not just get past that ledge and there you go. As you can see, I got it picked, but like I said, not on camera. I would like to try and get it on camera before it moves on. And then last but not least is this god-awful Wilka I received from T&J's Lockpicking North. And it has the nastiest keyway I've seen, quite frankly, as of yet. So we can get a good light on it. There we go. Quite nasty. To work off of that bottom ledge on the left here. Right there. You still have to get past that one. Come on, stay focused. You have to work off of that one and get past that one, especially if there's a high cut. And of course, you know, those guys, they made some high cuts. I haven't been able to get this one yet. Gosh, it's so smooth too. They call it the Warden. And, you know, quite frankly, it's the most awesome name for the lock too. Couldn't have come up with a better name for it. Alright, so that's the locks I have. I wished I had some more I could show you. By all means, I'm always looking for more, and I will find more at all times. And I probably have a couple over there on the shelf that I've really overlooked in consideration for some of the crowding or the semi-warded, and of course some of the god-awful warded. But I do appreciate y'all putting up with me rambling on about all this. I hope y'all enjoyed seeing all the different types of wardings and what I consider tough and medium and you know, the almighty easies. I'll sign off with that, guys. Y'all please stay safe. Always stay legit. If you like this video and like what I do here, hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And until we meet again, peace.